to our viewing audience on CNMG and also GISL Channel 4. And may I welcome also this afternoon the Minister of Education, Honorable Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, who is here to bring you up to date on a very special item that has been a matter of concern for over 11 years, the matter of the Bish High School. And it is a school that has brought a lot of pain to the people of Bish, since the children for the last 11 years have had to travel way out of their community to go to school. And as such, the People's Partnership Government, under the Prime Ministership of Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, have moved expeditiously within the last 14 months in order to ensure that the children of that community would benefit from the presence of that school, which was in fact built when she was the Minister of Education. And it's ironic that 11 years after, she is back as the Prime Minister to ensure that that school is brought into use. And Minister of Education has been doing tremendous work in terms of the monitoring of the air quality as well as other geotechnical evaluations and investigations. And he will be speaking to you about the report of the Bish High School. And after that, I will invite the Honorable Minister of Sports, Honorable Anil Roberts, to report on a program called On Football. Following the two ministers, the Minister of National Security will join us with the head of the Defense Force, with the head of the police, for our update on what has been happening with the state of emergency, and in particular the work of the protective services. He will give you an update on the number of persons who have now been detained, and also will speak to you about the number of gang leaders who have also been detained in the exercise thus far. So I would like now to invite the Honourable Minister of Education.
Good afternoon, members of the media. I have been directed by Cabinet to announce to the national community through the media that the Bish High School will be opened at the school opening on September the 5th. You would remember nearly 11 years ago when the school was completed, when our Prime Minister, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, was Minister of Education. The last administration chose to close the school because they said that the air quality was bad and that volatile, noxious agents were emanating from the atmosphere, and that there were a number of geotechnical problems with the area. And so they kept it closed for 11 years, where thousands of students were had difficulties in having to travel more than 20 to 24 miles to go to secondary schools in 4 of the secondary schools in Rio Claro and Mayaro, etc. Now, we, as the People Partnership Government, will put an end to that. And we have moved with all haste to ensure that the school will be opened at the beginning of the school academic year 2011. Permit me to give you a report on the environmental monitoring of the air quality and the geotechnical investigation at the Bish High School, which Cabinet has directed me to inform the nation. In June 2011, the Caribbean Industrial Research Institute, CARIRI, submitted to the Educational Facilities Company Limited, which is the company working for the Ministry of Education as one of the state enterprises, a report on an exercise undertaken to monitor the air quality for volatile organic compounds and toxic gases at the Bish High School. The exercise was carried out between May 11th and 12th, 2011, The results indicated that the levels of all parameters monitored are within the respective acceptable guidelines. And a table of the results of the ambient air quality conditions was given, and these were the following gases that were tested. There were 5 testing points: east of the east, then northeast, then the staircases, school square, and playing fields. The gases tested were nitrous oxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide. And all of these were found to be below limits of detection. In fact, the time-weighted average done by the American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists and the Institute of Environment Epidemiology, Ministry of the Environment, Singapore, their values are extremely high, and our values are below detectable levels. So that's the first study done by Kariri. Another study was done by Rose Environmental Limited, and they submitted a summary of the results of the ambient air quality studies at the same Beach High School. So there were 2 studies. 4 studies were done, 2 in the wet season and 2 in the dry season. And they were done in the school compound during the period 12 November 2010 to March 2011. These studies were carried out using the 5 monitoring stations. The results of the studies conducted revealed that the air quality of all 5 monitoring stations were consistent with good quality fresh air at the stated study times. There was also a study done by Geotech Associates Limited, engaged to undertake the geotechnical investigations, because the last administration said that soil was shifting, etc., and the foundations were unfit, and so on, and the schools will crack. Well, you see, 11 years later, the school structure remained solid and strong, and we had to do just some repairs to the steel structures, the steel which corroded over a period of time. The geotech study showed that the school was constructed in accordance with earthquake-resistant designs and in accordance with the latest international building code requirements. So I'm happy as the Minister of Education to indicate that these studies done by Kariri and Rose Environmental Limited on the air quality for volatile organic compounds and toxic gases have been found to be below detectable level, and we have good quality fresh air at the stated times that the studies were done. And the Geotech Associates study showed that the school was constructed in accordance with earthquake standards. We have also worked with the Teaching Service Commission to ensure that a principal has been selected for the school and teachers have been selected to the school. I have been informed by the Permanent Secretary this morning that that has been completed. We have allocated over 40 students from the SEA to join Form 1, and there are students who are going to be in Form 2 and Form 3. The labs are being outfitted at the moment. The classrooms are outfitted, and we are on our way to opening Beach High School on September 5th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister of Education. And of course, you remember that there was a commission of inquiry into the construction of the Beach High School. That report was done in 2002, and it recommended what the Minister spoke about, a proper assessment of the soil and the air quality, and that has been done now. I'd like now to invite the Minister of Sports. You know, the burning question for a lot of us in the population is what's going to happen to World Cup 2014 in Brazil, and what support is expected from the government of Trinidad and Tobago for the football team, the Soca Warriors, and following their victory over India on Sunday. I think the minister must be celebrating still. He will tell you, and I'm sure the population will be very happy to hear the minister talk about government support for the World Cup team.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Good afternoon, members of the media. Before I get into the substantive matter, let me first of all take this opportunity to thank all law-abiding citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago for bearing with the inconvenience of the state of emergency, the business people, citizens, because we understand as a government we have our responsibility, but we need the help and support of our citizens. And to all those who have been understanding, we really appreciate it, and we say a heartfelt thanks. And part of our program is not only to provide sport for all throughout Trinidad and Tobago, but everyone knows that football is the #1 sport in Trinidad and Tobago, and World Cup 2014, especially being hosted in Brazil, is a serious issue. So serious is it that the Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, gave me an instruction last year, I believe it was in October, that we were to support our football soccer warriors as they are Brazil bound to the hilt as much as was necessary. As you would understand, certain things had to be put in place first with regards to accountability, transparency, to ensure that we get value for money. So it took some time, but I must commend the TTFF for listening to the concerns of the ministry and the government and installing an authorization committee consisting of some of the most qualified, respected members of society in finance, in accounts, in marketing, in event management, in planning, to run and to account for the funds that your government, the People's Partnership government, is going to put into football to get us Brazil bound 2014. This is the first time in history that a government has come out early before the first match. Think about it. We are going to play Bermuda, and I must apologize. Again, I will not be able to be there because we have a serious matter to deal with. As you all know, Parliament will be called next week Friday, but I call on all of Trinidad and Tobago to go down. The kickoff time is slightly earlier, to go down to the stadium and support our boys who did well against India, and we'll keep improving as we start this World Cup campaign. The total amount of funding, depending on how far our team goes, if we qualify, which will take us up to November 2013, your government, the People's Partnership government, has approved $45,433,288 to support our football warriors. This will mean that the coaching staff, the technical staff, the players' contracts will be seen about by the people of Trinidad and Tobago with contracts, with process, with paperwork through the authorizing committee, the sport company, and the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs. The initial stage up to December 2011 should be $11,440,000. This has some retroactivity in it, as you are well aware that Coach Otto Pfister was brought in a few months ago, so we shall handle that backlog in this budget. Moving forward, once we get past the next round, for 2012 up to 30th December, should expend $16,996,608. Of course, I'm giving you the figures, but these figures will be adjusted and tweaked as necessary by the Ministry of Finance, the Permanent Secretary, in the scheduling. But rest assured that all processes, checks, and balances are in place. They will remain in place, and I will ensure that they're in place so that the money goes where it's needed to support our players as they surge on towards Brazil 2014. Some may ask, 45 million, a lot of money. Well, it is. But however, what price can you put? If you take your minds back to November 2005, when Trinidad and Tobago took on Bahrain to try to get that last spot. And we flew across, and all those who didn't make the trip, I was privileged to be across there in Bahrain. And those of you who were glued to your TV sets, as you saw Dennis Lawrence jump to head that goal, and we won 1-0 off that corner from Dwight York. The euphoria, the pride that we felt, I can't put any price on it. During that campaign, crime was at its lowest level in years because of the football and the love, because of how we feel about football and the passion that we feel for the red, white, and black. Furthermore, there's no better marketing tool than your country's athletes. The number one sport in the globe is football. The widest stage with the widest audience. Trinidad and Tobago emblazoned on their uniforms. The further we go, the more we can market Trinidad and Tobago, especially to boost tourism in Tobago. We're moving towards diversifying the economy in sport tourism. And some of our national teams, especially football and cricket, as we announced $4.8 million last week for the cricket warriors, are critical to marketing Trinidad and Tobago. So we will also work alongside the Ministry of Tourism, TDC, Ministry of Culture, to ensure that when our teams travel, that we will have a piece of Trinidad and Tobago to advertise to the world. And again, at this stage, I would like to admonish a little bit our media bosses, the big bosses, the money men who make the decisions. I beseech you, I beg of you, as our athletes perform, please invest as your government has invested. Pay for your cameramen, your still photographers, and your reporters to follow the teams, please. Please do not take the cheap way out and go on a computer and give us second-hand stories. We deserve more than that. You make a lot of money in advertising. We want to learn about our players. We want to feel the passion. And we can only do that if our reporters and our photographers go on these trips to give us the news, to give us the inside story. It's an investment that will redound to your benefit as we buy more papers, look at television more, and you can sell more advertisements. So please, let's get serious as we move forward in sport. $45 million for our Brazil-bound team. Everybody, next Friday, Hazley Crawford Stadium, Trinidad and Tobago versus Bermuda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sports Minister, in his usual passionate presentation. Very, very passionate about sports and about the sporting community in Trinidad and Tobago. We'll have three quick questions before I bring the Minister of National Security and his team for the very important briefing that you're also expecting. Mr. Chantak?
Yes, Clint Chantak News. A quick question to the Minister of Education. At the start of the school term, I think you're saying September 5th, what is the expected population of the Beach High School supposed to be at? And maybe you can give us an idea of the cost which was incurred to do those little remedial works?
Yes, the expected student population is going to be above 100. Forms 1, 2, and 3, possibly around 40 each. And the cost for the renovation of the entire project was close to about $30 million for repairs to the building and for all the substructure work and for repaving, etc. I can also indicate that close to $6 million had been spent in security to secure the school compound over the last 10 years, from 2001 to 2011.
Atiba Wiltshire from 412. Dr. Gopi Singh, in about 2 weeks, the new school term is going to be opening, and we have a new batch of first formers coming into the secondary school system. But we haven't been hearing much or anything about the distribution of laptops to these first formers. Could you update us on this?
Yes, I updated Cabinet just a while ago. The contract for the provision of the laptop has been awarded to the manufacturing firm of Lenovo, L-E-N-O-V-O, Lenovo. The approximate cost of one of these laptops is about $460 US. It's approximately 150 US less than last year, and 17,300 will be provided. We expect the first distribution to come in around mid-September, and the distribution will take a 2-week period instead of 2 months as happened last year, and we expect this distribution to be completed at the end of the first week in October.
And what would be the total cost to the government or to the taxpayers?
Well, I haven't costed it totally, but it's 17,300 multiplied by approximately 460 US. Forgive me for not costing it in TT dollars a total. Plus, we are also buying a digital portal to take all the information from the curriculum that is being manufactured and has been given onto that digital portal so that the students can use. In the laptops now, there are 14 software packages that are also being placed on the laptop from Microsoft without any additional cost. Last year we had 7, and this year we're having another 7 added on to it. And the colors for the laptop will be the E-Connect like last year, but we also have the national colors on the laptop, red, white, and black.
Roy, TV6 News, to the Minister of Sports. Minister of Sports, I'm trying to find out if the local media, which is a whole number of them, were to send reporters and camera people to cover national teams. It's very expensive. Would it not be more feasible if it's something that the Ministry of Sports can look at and say, look, we have 35 tournaments for the year. We want to cover at least 15. Would this not be something more feasible in terms of you were to say, okay, let's do 15 tournaments. This is the price of 15 tournaments, $150,000. The Ministry of Sports or the sports company would pick it up. And also now you distribute video to all the TV stations when it is being shot, and also photos and information that you have someone do that. Would you not get more mileage than have a particular media go? Because, for instance, let's say a TV station were to go, they will only cover for themselves. They would not share that information. So it's doing the sports itself a disservice.
Absolutely not. And as for example, let's use TV6. To buy a 30-second advertisement on your news program is $5,000 to $7,000 for 30 seconds. You've just boasted your highest profitability in the last 20 years. Spend some money. You do your thing, TV6, CNMG, CNC3 do their thing. Newsday, 1 full-page color advertisement, 12 to 15,000. That is not the government's business. Y'all are there in it to make money. You want to be kind too cheap. All over the world, Japan has one swimmer, Kitojima, I told you, and they send 50 different sets of media follow this man, see what he eats for breakfast, all for their own media group. You in it to make money. So what I'm saying is, I am not asking you to do Trinidad and Tobago a favor. What I am saying is, the population deserves individual detailed reporting. Our TV6 reporter may have a different take on an issue from a CNC3, and we deserve, our nation deserves the full story. You don't put the Ministry of Sport in that. You're all making profit. Thank you very much.
Dr. Gopi Singh, given the current state of emergency, is there any possibility that the opening of the school term might be shifted back?
No, not at all. That's not under the radar at all. The schools begin at 8 o'clock in the morning and finish at 3 in the evening, and we expect students and teachers to be in school by the required time and then to leave at the time that the school closes.
Okay, there are 2 more questions.
Just let me answer. The total cost, TT, we have calculated it. It's approximately 53 million TT, as opposed to what we spent last year, 83 million.
Kamal Georgitz.
And can we expect to see all schools opening on September 5th?
It has affected it because there were some schools that had double shift, but they have doubled up on the day shift to make amends for having to go home a little earlier. And from the reports that I've received yesterday, out of the 236 school projects which are underway now, most of these are about 90% completed at this time, and I will probably give to the media a little later or next week a state of the school repair and maintenance program. At the end of December of this year, we would have completed construction of 47 early childhood education centers, 12 primary schools and at least 5 secondary schools.
Dr. Gopi Singh Kino Swamba from Trinidad Express. What sort of systems do you have in place for the continuous monitoring of the air quality at the Beach High School?
Yes. Rose Environmental Limited has, they have installed multi-gas monitors in key locations within the school compound, as well as they installing a monitoring and alarm station in the staff room. And a portable multi-ray gas monitor is being acquired now for the school to be used by staff to respond immediately to any complaints, if they ever occur, on the compound of any hydrocarbon or noxious odors.
All right. I want to thank you very much for participating in today's post-cabinet media conference with the Minister of Education and the Minister of Sport. Sorry. I want to thank you for participating in today's media conference with the Minister of Sports and the Minister of Education. I'm now going to invite the Minister of National Security, together with the Chief of the Defense Force and also the Commissioner of Police, the Attorney General, and other members of the Protective Services, who will provide you with an update on what has been happening with the security forces and their surveillance, as well as the patrols, and bring you up to date on the number of persons arrested, the kinds of successes they have had, and what activities are planned as they go along the week. I just want to reiterate, very importantly, there is a state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago, and the curfew hours are 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the 6 regional corporations that have been identified. The borough of Chaguanas, the borough of Arima, the city of Port of Spain, the city of San Fernando, the Diego Martin Regional Corporation, and the Laventil Sawa Regional Corporation. The curfew does not extend to any other part of Trinidad. It is only in these 6 particular regional corporations and cities that the curfew is 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. So let me invite and welcome the Minister of National Security and his team, and the Minister himself will preside over this particular part of the function. Minister, while your team gets seated, may I invite you to the podium. Incidentally, today is Anil Roberts' birthday, so we wish him a happy birthday.
Very pleasant afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Very pleasant afternoon to Trinidad and Tobago. As is customary, we are here to brief you and apprise Trinidad and Tobago what has happened during our state of emergency operations over the past 24 hours. I will deal with a few issues, and then I would invite my colleagues to go into detail in the areas that they command. With respect to the permits, we have ironed out most of those areas, and I would like to warn, however, that not every worker in Trinidad and Tobago will be granted a permit. So if you know that you are not the person who will be working shift and required for any essential duty between the curfew hours, please don't burden us with requests for permits. And in most instances, we have invited corporations, organizations, businesses to present their requests to us, and certainly we will take care of those. There is the issue with respect to our reports concerning arrests and seizures that I would allow the Commissioner of Police to elaborate on. We have had multiple arrests some of them prominent, and to put to rest the thought that only in the curfew areas we are concentrating. We were able to pick up one of the leaders in Tobago, one of the leaders from the east of Trinidad in Tobago. So this shows that we are not concentrating only in the areas under curfew. There's also the concern with respect to comments made by the Commissioner of Police with respect to the curfew locations, and I will leave him to deal with that as well. However, I'm advised that sometime earlier today, there was a release indicating that the curfew hours are from 9 p.m. to 5 p.m. No, that I was told they said it was from 9 p.m. to 5 p.m. But I want to correct that. We had always said, and it is from 9 a.m. from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. You see, you see why the military makes it so easy. Then I would have told you 2100 hours to 0500 hours. You could not have made a mistake. So it's from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the designated areas. We also want to indicate that we have identified hotlines, and we are in the process now. There are some technological concerns that we're in the process now of sorting those out. And as soon as they are sorted out, you will be informed accordingly. And I want to embrace this opportunity to thank all those who have been calling in and giving information to assist in the return of Trinidad and Tobago to some degree of normalcy as far as our crime and criminal activity is concerned. I will now invite the Commissioner of Police to advise us and to give information on operations between last time we spoke with you and today. Thank you.